Grand Risings, Agent Wilson, Cameron. So you had this thought yesterday before you were going to bed. You're like, man, I should get a mandolin. And then I was like, I was looking at them this morning on my phone, and I was like, you know what? I want to get a mandolin, but am I gonna do any of the this? Am I gonna spend any time getting the skills to play the mandolin? No, I'm not. In fact, I have a banjo, which I haven't spent any time getting any skills to play that banjo either. And it's funny because it's not funny. It's just, it is some type of irony or something that as I'm getting more and more skills by learning the scripts for my real estate practice, that now I hear about, like, now I'm having all of these like desires. Oh, I should get a mandolin. Well, remember, you had a mandolin before back in high school, and you had got one because you wanted a banjo, couldn't get the banjo, and then you got the mandolin instead. And then there was like this whole thing where you had a girl you really liked. She played the violin. You were learning the mandolin. And there's you was seeing there all kinds of YouTube videos about mandolins and violins playing duets together because they're very similar instruments, slightly. They're definitely both folk instruments, and like a lot of Italian duets and whatnot. So that was like it's probably like the first time you actually got on YouTube. But it's just interesting that like you're like, oh man, you have all these other distraction desires that come up when you're actually making progress on what you need to make progress on, which is what you've decided to, that, oh, like, this is the best use of my time and my skills at this moment in time. So interesting. I think these type of things will continue to appear in your life, and I think it's important to take note of them like you are in this video, because you'll begin to see that what are your quote unquote passions, and what do you want to do with your time and with your life outside of necessarily just working, which is always something great to have. So now I'm going to put this on in the background. Yeah, folk music. It's Mozart. Okay, so listen to that a little bit. That one is probably like, eh. But remember this, Cameron, also. Back when you were in high school, you were like, I'm gonna get a vibraphone. You're gonna get a vibraphone. You can have a whole music room where you can just express yourself musically. Like you said, you're just gonna get a vibraphone so you can practice more blues, vibraphone. Same thing with the banjo. That banjo will go in that same category. You toss a mandolin in there. Mandolin will go in there. And also whatever other instruments you want can go in there. Like you can basically, again, this is another room in the mansion of your life. Because like part of the reason you didn't do this before, right, is because you definitely didn't have enough room to put a vibraphone. That's not something you can just put on a charger. That's not really something you could just get without having the space to put it somewhere. And at the time, you definitely didn't have the space to put it somewhere. So you can see how much one of those costs. These are all like desires that floated up for sale as you were getting more skill in so it's like 3,500, 3,500 for a vibraphone. That's not bad. That's decent. These are all like desires that floated up when you were practicing music more, you had more skills with music, and you were playing the instruments often. So, it's just something like just like a kind of I guess like a phantom desire from that point in time. Where it's like, oh man, if I had chosen to do this with my life, I would have gotten a vibraphone at some point in time. However, it's like, shoot, I mean, to be honest, you made the best decision. Because looking at these vibraphones, if I was a professional musician, I'd be like, man, like $3,500. That seems, maybe, if I wasn't like top 2% or 1%, that seems like a lot of money. But as a businessman, which you are developing and continuing to develop yourself as, you think of numerous ways in which you can generate $3,500. Like that should be like a normal part of what you do every week, even, is to create to win that amount of money. So take that into consideration, that like your intuition with these types of things has been spot on since you basically decided that like, yeah, I want to get some land. So I could have somewhere to put my fruit trees. You got fruit trees now too. So, yeah, things are coming full circle. And since they are coming full circle, pay attention to the fact that it's a real estate, man. It's a 10-year cycle. And so it's like, from when you very first started till now, yeah, it's been 10 years. So maybe they don't mean 10-year cycle in the sense of the market is a 10-year cycle. Maybe they mean it in like it's your personal 10-year cycle dealing in the industry. Think about it like that. What if that's what they meant? Because if that was what they meant, you did better than expected in these 10 years. Starting from the beginning till now, you definitely have done better than expected. You've definitely been higher, but again, 10-year cycle. That's the bull, and then the bear, and then the what do they call that? Consolidation, where it's just level. And so then now you go back into the bull cycle. Ooh. Well, so now I'm going back into the bull cycle, learning these scripts and again falling into the professional role. And that's probably what they actually mean, because yeah, if that's what a 10-year cycle is. So when I hit about year 8, that's when I started thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I'm way better than I actually am. And so, yeah, year 7 or 8. Was that 7? So it wasn't last year. It was the year before last year and that preceding year. If this is 10, 9. So yeah, 7 and 8. So probably in the next 7 or 8 years, that cycle may come back around or it may not. Maybe if you learn the lesson of not to be better than you think you are, but also you're not as bad as you think you are or as other people think you are, you probably avoid those lessons because you've already learn them. Like even, but one of the good lessons is, or one of the wins from that experience is, you are like project managing someone else's project. So that's a big win, because now you can say like you got like referrals, you got real references. Like, oh yeah, this dude helped me flip my house. This, I'm not messing like, call myself something besides the dude. Agent Wilson helped me flip my house. This young professional has skills and connections and the wherewithal to do something that people are only just beginning to wake up to. And he's doing it at this age. So take that opportunity seriously, because that's the opportunity that could define you and what you do, your career for the next 10 years. The way how well this goes, especially when you start documenting what's happening over there at the house on Crosby, there people are gonna be like, oh yeah, this guy, like, he really made a connection with an investor in his own neighborhood who now is saying, hey, look, I need your help flipping my house because I've seen the projects that you've done and I want the same type of quality. And then from there, I mean, I could even start managing this investor, managing his rental properties. That way he doesn't have to. And then, start doing more flips with him and bringing on more investors and managing more of their flips or managing more of their rental properties, and just saying like, hey, like I'm good at management. I'm level. I'm stable in what I'm doing. And one thing that is for sure is that I definitely need to be practicing my scripts all the time. And that's so that one, a lot of these scripts, they put certain values like standards into my mind about what the standards should be. And the other thing is, when I'm talking to potential clients and investors, like the client I have now with this flip, they understand that I'm serious about this. And I've been serious about this, but I just haven't known what to do with the other passions that come up in my life. But if you remember going back to reading The Magic of Thinking Big, probably your favorite part in The Magic of Thinking Big is, my favorite part is, he's talking about how on Earth there is enough material for every person to have their own mansion. But why don't we? Why don't we all have our own mansions if there's enough physical material? Because we don't think big enough. We're not thinking big enough. And so all I'm understanding is, well, not all of it, but part of my understanding with these other desires and passions is that these are the things that go in the rooms of my mansion. I'm not thinking big enough still. And I realized I started thinking smaller after I had those business failures. So now I'm letting that stuff, that crap, level out. It's probably going to take at least, Warren Buffett says it could take 5-10 years to level out. But I'm letting it, I think it'll take about 18 to 24 months, because it's already been 18 months since that very first, well, actually, since all of those business failures, it's been past 18 months. It's by the end of this year, it'll have been 2 years since the end of all of those business failures. Wow. It's almost been 2 years since that crap was happened. So yeah, I gotta get off of that stuff. Like, basically, maybe like sit down, write a email or some type of like synopsis of what happened, and then just like put that in a file of like life lessons, and just like move on from that crap. Because like, that's like, if it's been 2 years still thinking about it, like, definitely need to unlearn that crap. And that way I can have more processing power, more brain power for the new stuff that's going to come into my life that I'm creating for my life. So, wow, yeah, it's been definitely 18 months since all of that stupid stuff has happened. Um, wow, yes. 18 months has already passed me by since that stuff has happened. I mean, I've done some stuff with my life. You know, I've listed the properties and I've leased out properties, and I got this project I started with him and like that stuff. But I'm still thinking about that stuff. Like it still takes up a good amount of my like thought. And it's like, what was I thinking about before? It's like I was probably thinking about all the potential I had. Like I could do this, I could do that. I could get some friends and we could go do this. Or I was probably thinking about working out. Like, I need to get more muscle, which I do need to get more protein because I ate all my protein. Or I was probably thinking about something else that's like good instead of like that stuff that was like probably the reason I'm still thinking about these losses is because I just haven't learned the lesson, or really I haven't harvested the lesson and then made a note of it and made a file of it in my systems. Which I guarantee if I do that, if I ever have any other thoughts about it, I can just go write them down and say, okay, like this is where you live. You don't live in my head anymore. So see you later. Bye. And just put that thing away. Because I don't need to spend any time thinking about that crap. Actually, because it's years ago, and what I need to do is learn how to judge better, which I'm doing. So I'm judging that me having that thought process or that thought pattern of that occurrence of that situation is now becoming old and outdated. So definitely need to unlearn that. Yes. Yeah, that's a really good, like, you just said like something brilliant, actually. So remember that type of stuff. Well, you have it recorded. So also, let me make sure my phone doesn't like start like. No, it's fine, man. It's charged it already. So besides, like with that being said, yeah, the mansion of my life, have a file for that other garbage, crap, failures, judge people better. These passions, they have a place where they can go once I start. Once I recognize where they go in my life, and also you had an idea you're gonna buy a brick making machine, so you could just build your own home to your specifications with the bricks you wanted, because it was like, hey, you can just make your own bricks all the time. You can have like the biggest house you want because you can basically get the dirt. You find out how to get the dirt and materials for free or cheap, and maybe you just wanted a custom home with custom bricks, because you could make all the bricks, but it's like you would have to basically hire someone to spend all that time making all the bricks, or you would do it yourself in your free time. But if you're paying someone $100 a day to make bricks for you, it's $3,000 a month. It's like, could you just buy more bricks than you could make? Or is that, you should look into that, because it might just be like a good idea, a good intention, but not something you would take action on, like intentional actions. So maybe what you're really desiring is you want to find some land to buy where you could build a state on that's like 5 acres. Like that number of 5 acres, you got that from the Magic of Thinking Big too. That's like a state type property. Like, oh yeah, like you're a real executive. So yeah, you really read The Magic of Thinking Big when you were in a wheelchair. Right after you got hit by an 18-wheeler and lived. So probably why some of this stuff is like bubbling back up now, because that situation is like worn off. Like the money you got is invested, and you just feel like just for like, let me just do 5 to 6 acres. So these are things to think of. Oh wow, so stuff is cheaper than I thought. And 5 acres is like $250,000, 280,000. That's a lot of land. It's got a bridge near Forsyth High School. You can do a lot with 5 acres. You can do basically anything. You can really do anything. You know, you put buildings, a couple houses, some places for some plants, some nurseries type of stuff. Put up some investment properties. Yeah. Hmm. 300,000. Yeah. So just get better at learning your scripts, which you should be practicing all the time, which you are. It's funny, you were reading these scripts before you went to, it's not funny, but it's like, because a lot of stuff that's funny, you say, I think when you say it's funny, it makes it makes you less funny in real life, because it's not funny. Like, I need to find out like what's a synonym for funny, because I need to say like that instead of funny, because it is, yeah, it's not any of this stuff. Amusing, humorous, comical, droll, laughable, hilarious, hysterical, riotous, uproarious, witty, quick. No, I'm not. I'm just using the word wrong. No, I mean like, yeah, it's causing, the definition, causing laughter or amusement. Humorous. No, that's not it at all. It's actually interesting that I would have this thought after I'm studying the scripts. Like, the more skill I'm building here, then the more like realization of like, oh, this is kind of what you're missing out on. It's not interesting either. Like, that's not what I'm feeling. Maybe I'm probably feeling ironic. It's not ironic either. Maybe I could say it's unexpected. I can start saying it's unexpected. You know, it's unexpected. What does that mean? Not expected or regarded as likely to happen. Yes. That's the word you should use. You should write that down because maybe you'll start being more funny when you know when something is unexpected and when it's funny. Because it's not humorous at all. It is unexpected that I would start thinking about a mandolin as I'm getting better at my scripts. So I'll write it down over here. Yeah, certain things and situations you want to just, I mean, I know for me, I want to have them defined right in my mind so that way I'm able to express myself. So, like, yeah, it was unexpected. It was not funny at all. No. That may be why I'm not funny anymore because I just don't know what that means. I didn't know what it meant. So it was unexpected that I would look up these words. That was not my intent with this. It was really just to say that I'm getting more skills with the scripts. And I'm knocking on more doors. I used the just listed script yesterday and it worked very well. This woman was opening up. She was like, oh, she just started telling me. Like there was one, it was like, how did you happen to pick this area? I didn't even have to ask her that question. She just told me how she got to the area. And I was like, wow, this thing works like a charm. So, man, all I gotta do is just eat a quick breakfast and go finish working that neighborhood. Oh, now I gotta call my client. Make sure he send me the fax number. Dang. That's much more urgent than working this neighborhood right now. So I need to like somehow wait or get their fax number in the morning. Like, well, it's the morning right now. Couldn't find it last night, so I can call in and get their fax number. But yeah, that's the stuff I'm gonna be doing today. Basically, just finding out how to get this fax number, get this paperwork over to my buyer. Practicing my scripts, and yeah, gonna go finish like passing out these business cards. I did 250 last week. I'm gonna do 250. Even though my intention was to do more than that, I did 260 last week. Did a little bit more. Same thing for this week. I'm gonna just do as many as I can every day. And that starts with not leaving the house at 12. Leaving the house at 8:30, 9 o'clock, then I'm done by 12. See? It's just time management. Once I get over this, like, all of that crap that I had in my mind from 2 years ago, keep it out. You're doing good, Cameron. You're doing good. You're making, like, not only are you making progress, but you're moving further along in this game we call life. You're moving further away from the stuff that was a distraction to begin with. Like, that's how good you felt about yourself. You was like, I could just go start up another industry. Now it's part of the faults. So, learn that lesson. You don't need another industry. You just need to have skills at what you're doing, because, like, life isn't about, like, having a business in this industry and that industry and that industry. It's more than that. It's about having, like, peace of mind, good relationships with friends, consistent money, So you can do the stuff like, oh, get a mansion or a vibraphone or a mandolin. So you can actually fulfill your real desires, not your phantom or desires. Or you can go on trips like you need to plan for your birthday this year. Where you're gonna go. So think about that. Do you need more industries? Like, for instance, if you just bought houses for the rest of your life, you would own a lot of houses. Like, you would own a lot of houses. This dude, they got houses for sale for $15,000. I mean, yeah, it's like houses down to the studs, but you buy a piece of land for $15,000. Come on. So think about that. Like, you could save up that money, buy the house, fix it up over time. Then you rent it out at some point and be like, oh yeah, $1,000 a month or $800 a month. I mean, like, come on, like, think about that. And is that a bad life? You own more houses than people even, like, people don't even buy, like, most people double your age don't even own a house. You met a guy yesterday, he's 40. I think he just bought his first couple houses, like 3 of them. Like you're already ahead. Stay ahead by not getting anxious that, like, oh man, I need to do more. Like, you already are doing more. Recognize the fact that when you're intelligent, you just produce more. And then don't, like, cut yourself down because, like, oh, I need to grow back further and stronger, faster. It's like, no, don't. That's like, that doesn't make sense. What you need to do is maintain. Like, and really, if you're curious about these houses, you go check out the neighborhood. Find out what's going on. Like, because I mean, if you buy 3 of these houses, which that's what you should do. It's like buy 3 houses so you have comps to support everything, and that tends to set the standard for the neighborhood, especially when it comes to appraisers. Then you're just like, okay, got a couple houses. You need to just go invest the neighborhood, investigate the neighborhood, go to the grocery stores, talk to some people, eat at some of the restaurants and the bars in the area, find out how people are at night in the area. Now, this house right here, $35,000, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and this house is like 850 square feet. Come on, like, you couldn't even build a house for 850 square feet, regardless of the condition. It's cheaper than like new construction value. So it's like stuff like that is like something to pay attention to. Like, wherever it's at, it's cheap for a reason, but it's also, if you buy 3 of them, you couldn't even get a loan for this amount of money. You couldn't even get a loan for 35,000, maybe through like some bank, but these are the type of places where it's like when you're ready to buy some more properties and some more houses, go investigate these places. Get down into the weeds. But yeah, man, like you could be buying houses all over the state, just like just run the business up. You got to get that brokerage license soon. So you know, just like the business, keep buying assets, and then some of the money you put in your stocks, and you're already learning from the best stock analyst in the world. So, wait for the results for that for the next 10 years. You can really just be buying houses and stocks and real estate and stocks and bonds and be like very wealthy and have very good relationships with people in your life. Like you've had that, you threw it away. Now you have less. So don't make that same mistake. Like, let's see what these are. Walmart, Sam's Club, Middle Georgia State University. See, like, that's 3 good things. And like this place is like 2 hours from you. So think about it. If you lived in California, it would be pretty standard to like, I don't know, that's just a little bit different about living here on the East Coast and living there in California. It's like, oh, if you lived in San Diego, you might drive 9 hours to San Francisco. Or to some of the other closer Santa Monica, it might be a 2-hour drive. Or if you lived in Santa Monica like I did, you might drive 2 hours to go to Mexico. But like here in Georgia, people are like, bro, I'm not gonna even leave the city of Atlanta. I'm not even gonna drive more than an hour. But it's like, bro, if you own property, you own land, okay, you drove 2 hours to go check out a house you own. If I was in California, that would be like very normal. Like, bro, I drove an hour to come see you. I drove 2 hours to go check out my house that I bought. It's just like people aren't willing to do that here. So that's why there's more opportunities for you because you are willing to drive 2 hours to go to a different city and metro area to look at properties. Because people are just, I guess they're just not willing to do it. They just don't want to do that. They're like, oh, I don't need to do that. Like this, Mercer University in the area. This one is, man, this house is 38,000. They just really uploaded the same picture like 10 times. Wow. Okay. So like, yeah, definitely go check this type of stuff out. If it does need some work, pay cash for them. And if it doesn't need any work, try to get 3 of them. So yeah, this is the type of stuff you should definitely save your money up for. Like, oh, put it in some stocks. Then when it gets like you get enough of it, take that money out and put it into this house. When I say enough, I mean money for the house and the repairs. So it might be like $60,000. And then you need to have saved up. Get the money up. And you do that by studying your scripts and getting to work. So, yeah, that definitely means they need to have like a dollar amount in mind. You need to be riding through these areas on the weekends. And, bro, all these houses are just like so cheap. Even this one is like well kept up to do. 45,000 can rent for $850 a month. Whether or not that's believable, the house looks decent. This game is not like difficult. You get a couple of these, you rent it. I mean, even if you just do like, okay, 850 times 12. I used to do this all the time, times 12, divided by 45,000. No, I said divided by 45. That's what I meant anyways. It's 22% return on investment, cash on cash. Even if you do about 600, right? This is a 600. Because you want to make sure somebody's staying there actually. Divided by 45,000. 16% cash on cash. That means if you was to divide that by, how do you do that formula? How many years would it take you to get your money back? So I think it's like 16% return on investment. So what is it like divided by? Well, I'm gonna go like 45,000 divided by 7,200. No, that's not what I said. 6.25 years. Or so next say 7,200 times or divided by 0.16. Nope. How do I do? I think it's like an inverse. 0.16 divided by what is like 1 over x. Yeah. So 0.16 divided by 1 divided by 0.16. That's how you find the inverse. So yeah, you buy that property or I buy that property, it would take me 6.25 years to return all my cash back to myself at $600 a month. And it definitely would not be, in 6 years, it would not be still $600. It would definitely be much more money than just $600. So, man, you could be buying cheap houses for $40,000, $50,000 in this place. And then when they get like good enough, you would just either get a portfolio loan or just do a bunch of refinances on them and take out that equity and go do something else, buy some commercial, get up to that commercial level. Because, I mean, yeah, man, like the down payment, even if you're doing 10% on 45,000. No, man. Times 0, enter. So 45 times 0.1. It's 4,500. So 10, like between 5 to 10,000, you could buy this house. Yeah, but you also have your tax returns. So you've been doing your taxes, so you'll have those as well. So between 4 to 10,000, yeah, you can basically buy this house on a financing. So even if you just see what that will my mortgage payment be, home price is 45. You put down 10%. 30 years. Yeah, 5.7% interest rate. Your payment would be $235. So if you're renting out for $600 minus 235, that's $365. And then you got insurance on that, so it's probably like another $150. So you're netting like $200 on a $10,000 investment. Times 12. Yeah. So it'll take you about 4 years to get that money back, plus the house. So think about those things, man. You can buy the house for not a lot of money. So this video got way too long. I definitely need to eat breakfast, practice my scripts, and go finish getting in touch with my buyer and all that other stuff I said I was gonna do. So yeah, just have, the important lesson is have a place compartmentalized for these other expressions. Farewell.